Welcome. Welcome, Zoomers. Welcome. Mm, Good morning. Brother from another mother has joined. Um, we, those of us here in Palawa County, we gathered tonight and we sang a song together. Let's see what love can do. And that's sort of, the bedrock, I guess, of this teaching. So it was very moving to see it in action in a song circle. As we were singing it, we were seeing it, what love can do, what love is doing, what love provides every moment. If for those who have eyes to see, hearts to register, is really quite moving. Beyond the idea that love is transactional, that there's a transaction involved, that there's a this and a that, and a you and a me, and we get to play in that arena. We get to play with otherness. It's pretty cool. But beyond that idea, beyond that play, is just love. Not love with a cause or a reason or a condition, just love. Unconditional, ever giving, ever isness. Try to stop the moment from arriving. Give it a go. Just try. We try in all kinds of ways to stop the moment from arriving, right? But the moment arrives generously, abundantly, ever, eternally, infinitely. And as we remove the masks, the conditions, the ideas, the beliefs, the held onto identities and identifications, what do we see? What do we feel? What do we taste, eat, touch? Love. It's undeniable. A lot of us wait till the very end. My mom just passed a couple of months ago, and the love around a passing of a loved one is so prominent. Or Lauren was saying that she was with 6 new babies yesterday. 6 new babies. Love is so prominent. We see it in these moments where time stands still. When time stands still, what do we see? What do we feel? What are we? Love. When I first started teaching, I was using that word in circles that were like, love? We don't talk about love here. Compassion. Don't get me wrong, I love compassion, but I'm talking about uncaused love. And it's sometimes been interesting to talk about it. The heart of matter, the heart of it, not the Hallmark card, transactional, sentimental. That's all beautiful. I'm not against any of it. Enjoy. We're in a human format. Sentimentality happens. Nostalgia. personal love. I will say it happens less and less. A little bit of a hard sell there. But the love of the moment as it is arriving, you never look back and wish for something else. Because then you are that. Indirect experience. Indirect experience. It's awareness without object, love without cause, and wisdom without concept. But we're conditioned the other way, right? We're not really used to, the attention's not used to hanging out in awareness without object. When that happens, we say we're in deep sleep until we're not. Or love that feels very personal. Love that I'm not against it. It's just their modes of being. They are conventions, ways that we've adopted. Love that has an object, the object of my affection, the reward. I will give love. I will take love. I will receive love, and then maybe I can give them. It's okay. But if we're identified, there is this, the game is up, down, up, down, up, down. And we mistake that for life because feels like the juice to our nervous system. That feels like chi, prana, shakti. It's not. I mean, it's animated by that power, but it's on the surface of it. Wisdom, I think, therefore I am. Conceptual wisdom has been the name of the game. Or I don't know, I'm not a historian, but so we're used to hanging out in objects, otherness, love with condition, and intellectual, conceptual narrative. And the attention just isn't trained to notice what always is. What always is. Awareness, not coming and going. Causeless love, not coming and going. Wisdom, not coming and going, but arising as this, as this, as this. It's just not where we put our attention. That's all. So many of us are saying, hey, I think I'd like to hang out with other people in the what's not coming and going and explore that and discover that and remember that and see what love can do. See what love is as now, here. It's not absent. We're not gonna wake up and manufacture causeless love. That's an ego game. That's what everyone thinks is gonna happen. Every one of us who is still somebody, and we all do that. It's a remembering. It's a homecoming. It's a homecoming. It's a remembering. So there's this pointer, right? Be as is. Because, and it's an anchor. It could be very useful in these times because let's face it, last night at the get together, I think it was Michael, I don't know, somebody in the Sangha was saying, the death throes of the ego, it's just so apparent out there, but why wouldn't it look like a shit show? It did in me personally. Why wouldn't it look like it in the collective? Exactly. And it does. And it is. And it can be dangerous, just like it can personally be dangerous when egos go to war. Well, when the collective ego goes to war, okay, then we're reading about, oh, I'm not going to go there. We know what I'm talking about. So it's not only liberating to our someoneness, like we talked about last time, we're nothing, everything, and something. Strangely. So to the something, the somebody, the someoneness, I mean, sitting in a field, let's call it that, the field of causeless love, wisdom, and awareness without object, no other, no thing, is home. It's just like the yummiest possible thing. It's Sangha, it's retreat, it's silence in and amongst interaction. Right? But it can be really useful as far as like being a something in the everything, in the collective, be as is. But I find that it's getting a little like manipulated, misunderstood as indulgence of what I'm feeling. I'm not talking about indulgence or denial when I attempt to say be as is. What I'm attempting to speak of, forgive me, you just can't, is being as isness, being as causeless love, being as wisdom without conception, conceptual thought, being as awareness without object, being as what actually is, not sinking fully and deeply into identification with what is appearing, not denying what is appearing, being as is while you inhabit the moment, which is an appearance. And that is the transmutation. That is the transmutation. That is the transmutation. Nobody there to do it. It's an instrument, then, a divine instrument of its own nature. And it expresses so individually, joyfully individually. So it's not like we wipe the slate clean and we're all just going to walk around like full circle automatrons doing and saying exactly the same thing because we're nobody's there. No, it's a garden. It's this. It's like, you know. In and amidst and amongst fury, anger, magnitudes of war, deconditioning and deconstruction of the personal self, which, yeah, we all have some of that under our belts. And it's the spin cycle when you're in the fire, you're in the fire. And it would be pointless to deny it. Pointless. But do you have to identify? Do we have to identify as the surface appearance? it feels like we have to because our nervous systems are trained to. And that's where, and we've done many satsangs and talks about the transmutation of the nervous system, and I think every single one of us is going through that. The upgrade, if you want to call it that, for the power that is the animating power, the one and only animating power of existence, to be lived directly. And in a human format, consciously. In a human format, we have consciousness, reflection. I mean, maybe some of the people coming onto the planet, or maybe you, one of you, I don't know. I haven't spoken with everyone directly about nervous system stuff, but most of you. Maybe you were just kind of built for it and wired for it from the beginning. I mean, there are definitely people who are at this point. True nature is strangely to the thinking mind, but very naturally to itself, taking care of itself at every moment. It's amazing what we convince ourselves of. I mean, it's the old spiritual teaching of like, if you leave the wound alone, it just will heal. Have you noticed that? If you don't pick the scab, if the sliver does come to the surface, and like, I mean, yeah, we can be present with it and to it and listen to the inner wisdom around the process of it. But really, can we own it, claim it, have it, do it? I'd look into that. I'd look into what's actually happening when we transform, heal, we call it, or whatever word we want to put on that, grow. I mean, how did we like decide to manage the process from becoming 2 and then all of a sudden we're 9? I did that. I mean, or how about like differentiation with embryos? How those cells decide, oh, I think I'll be a finger. No, I'm going to be a toe. Is that like a conceptual process? But we're so smart. I'm not against the intellect. You guys have all sat with me enough to know, right, what I'm saying. Their intellect is a brilliant, brilliant function and tool within reality when in service to the heart of being, when in service to the power that animates the universe. Then, I mean, some of us have had the humble honor to be around some of those people. And the brilliance is like, wow. Hmm. So I'm not sure when this got written, but I thought it was useful for today. Be as is. I don't know. It came through maybe at retreat one time or something from here. How will we ever directly encounter or meet the moment if we are thinking it should be other than it is? The gap between what actually is and what we want it to be begins to close when we give the attention to effortless presence. As that gap between thinking about experience and directly inhabiting the current moment as it is closes, we stand naturally, naked in the moment as the moment. And we have the opportunity, Salud, to remember, directly encounter the emptiness of phenomena, the heart of matter, and the reality of causeless love. In that moment, we encounter emptiness of phenomena, heart of matter, and the reality of causeless love. In the moment, as the moment, naked, nothing, everything, something. If our identity is resting on the masks that we wear, the roles that we play, the things we do, sooner or later, we're going to have to defend that identity. If the identity rests in those masks, roles, things we do, we're going to have to defend it eventually. Because we will meet with the idea of comparison, betterness, insufficiency, powerlessness. I'm not good enough, they're better. Those people look scary, my way is right, you know, the whole thing. If we believe the judgments and assumptions that run through our heads to defend these identities, we suffer. The collective suffers. The wholeness suffers. It suffers. And we project that suffering onto whatever is appearing. So the appearance has no chance but to look like suffering. It has no chance. It has no other way. Causeless love is immovable and eternal, but we can't sense it because we are busy fighting our wars. So it's not something that we manage, create, manufacture, bring into existence, participate in evolution. It feels like that. It's okay. In a linear time format, it feels like that. We uncover it through the letting go of the identification with the me as a fundamental reality. We get to be ourselves. I'm not saying we don't get to be ourselves in that. What else will we be? I mean, didn't Oscar Wilde say that? Like, go ahead and be yourself. There, you know, all the others are taken. I mean, it's like, you know, what else are you gonna do? But the experience of that can be, you know, all the way, like Dr. Hawkins used to say, from suicidal apathy to enlightenment. The experience of inhabiting this no thing, everything, something, Jennifer-ness, Sharon-ness, Barb-ness, Nancy-ness. The experience is either formed through belief. So the mind is used as a former, you know, like a stained glass window that's made up of belief. And causeless love comes through the stained glass window. And so it has no other choice but to be red, if that's the belief, or blue, or whatever it is. Whatever it is, and that's then the experience. Or an avenue of awareness, causeless love, and wisdom. That is. It is. It's the sun. It's just shining indiscriminately. It is what it is. It shines. It's not making a choice to shine on this person because this person has red colors, or this person because this person has blue colors, and it likes the red better than the blue, the judging gods. We're past that, right? No, it shines. It delivers the ever-isness eternally and infinitely and magnificently and gloriously and abundantly. So the let's see what love can do is the letting go of conditioned ideas about how reality should be. And the way is to be, strangely, paradoxically to the mind, is to 100% be as is, as it's happening. From and as and through emptiness. Fundamental love, non-conceptual wisdom. It's like what in the Paramita, is that correct? The Bodhisattva is not disturbed by the complete absence of any one there as a Bodhisattva. No one's going to save the world. Can I dare say it? But plenty of someones are opening the curtains to the fundamental ground. And it's lighting the room quite naturally. It doesn't have to save anything. It simply turns on the light. It's just light. We didn't like, uh, we are that. We are that. And as we put crack those curtains open, the battery in the flashlight gets bigger and the dark corners are illuminated. Illuminated. That's that word. It sounds like a very groovy word, like, oh, bliss, and it can be. Get enough of the personal conditioning and identification out of the way, and it really starts like, oh yeah, ooh, I am that. But for a while, it's illuminating the dark corners at a deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper level. I know I'm pretty sure I'm looking at every one of us knowing that experience. You get rid of most of the like sort of surface conditioning, like, oh yeah, I know I act like that in a certain situation, and I react like that in a certain situation, and you like get humble enough to like just admit it and it feels good, you know. You get rid of all of that, and then like deep collective, archetypal, the vast terrain of the psyche starts becoming illuminated. Ooh, okay. Now we're in for a ride, you know? Yeah, those are that's the wildness of it. And like Dr. Hawkins used to say, you gotta let it rip. Let her rip. Sit down and let her rip. Be as is. And, take refuge in stop, sense in the body, as the body, where the fundamental ground actually is, how it feels, what it means to put the attention there. In the midst of it, step back, say, give me just a sec. Go there very succinctly, precisely with the attention and allow it to bloom. Trust. It takes trust from our egos. I mean, once that has been demolished, the sense of like, I'm doing anything, trust it's not really a thing. but skill kind of is. But those words of trust and faith, those are helpful, useful if they are. Take refuge, anchor your Song of Friends eyes, your own pure heart, the animating presence beating your heart, breathing your breath, flowing through your veins, choosing your health, choosing your animated beingness, delivering it, boom, boom, boom. Anchor the ground of empty phenomena, no thing, naked awareness, effortless presence. Effortless presence, it's effortless. It arrives, it delivers the moment of its own accord, and it is effortless, seamless presence. This is a strong appearance. And I know I am that I am. This is a strong appearance. And I know I am that I am. The appearances that are being generated from conditioned war, opposition, positionality, otherness, and the fundamental belief in that are strong. They're deeply rooted in our psyche, deeply rooted. Deeply rooted. The us and them. The us and them. I don't care how realized we are, it can happen in just a 1/10,000th of a second. Not as a failing, right? Innocent, 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 innocent. Reptilian brain, nervous system. I'm a fly. That lizard's gonna eat me. I mean, it's just like that. It's just wired. It's just wired. But that is not the nature of human beingness. That's not the nature of human beingness. We've assumed that nature. Dog eat dog. Da, 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 da. I mean, whatever it is. Scarcity, a belief in scarcity and a limit to the amount of resources. And the masters just manifest mana readily because there's nothing stopping it. We think the spirit honestly have limits, limited resources. We don't stop to question this. We don't stop to question it. We honestly believe that the natural, what we call the natural world, we're exempt from it somehow, but that natural world out there is limited somehow. Well, it's limited in the 8 billion mind worlds. It's very limited in the 8 billion mind worlds, and therefore this appearance, therefore this life that has limits and scarcity and all the rest. But if we just personally get compassionate enough, it just hasn't worked. It just has not worked. It hasn't worked. It's not an easy, maybe it is. I'm not going to say that. Maybe it is for some people. It here in this experience, the complete dismantling and deconstructing of a belief in a personal selfhood was quite the journey. And if I talk about it, you know, who would sign up? I mean, Aja used to say that. The book is the end of your world, guys. Not sure why I titled it that. Tammy Simon, the head of Sounds True, said, don't do that. And I said, nope, that's what I'm doing. I heard Aja say it at retreat. It's the end of your world. It's not something else. It's the end of your world. It's meaning it's the end of the me thing as a direct experience, a condition of life. Because the experiencer can't imagine experience without it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the experiencer goes, if I'm gone, there'll be the big void we're all scared of, and that they kind of make you scared of in a certain way. The death, the void. Well, life is life. It isn't subject to someone who thinks they are an experiencer. That's crazy talk. And we've just believed it and just orbited around it very innocently. Nobody's failing here. Nobody's not getting their cookies after class. I mean, it's silly. That's just another aspect of the ego trying to aggrandize itself through, I'm so bad. It's nothing like that. We are divine by the virtue of our existence. Do you exist? Divinity is. Yeah, definitely. We can revere the masters. I do, and I take refuge in them. Am I somehow different or not going to make it or of a different, whatever? No. Every great master has said, these things and more you too shall do. So go do, go be your brilliant self, your brilliant shining self. I think I've said it lots of times, but it comes to mind every time when I kind of enter this zone. My little 4-year-old girl drawing this picture of the great beingness beaming down through her crown chakra. She knew nothing about that, out through her heart. And I said, hey, Adri, what is that? Well, Mom, God gives me my brilliancies. And then my brilliancies flow through my heart and out into the world. And I was like, amen, sister. Yes. But just naturally, she knew they weren't hers. They were hers, but they were naturally coming from the source of all that is as her. But in our Western independence, boy, I grew up on a cattle ranch, like I got this in spades. Our friend Elizabeth calls it Cowgirl Jenny when we run into it in sessions. Cowgirl Jenny is going to get it done. I mean, we have convinced ourselves that we're doing everything. We are the bottom line rather than like we're enjoying the experience of the sense of doing. Look at our hands, they're made for it. We've just convinced ourselves, and then we've all decided to like round up around it and orbit it, this convention of either not good at the because of what I read it, if we adopt the mask, the costume, the appearance as essential, then we are in, I got to defend it. I live in a world of scarcity. And usually at the rock, the foundation of it is I'm not good, because we don't have a sense anymore of of the divinity of expression. I'm not good. Or we've covered the I'm not good really thoroughly with like, I'm the best freaking thing around, man. And I'm doing the whole thing. You know, the narcissism that is just rampant is based in I am not good. So I'm going to come on real big because I feel existentially small. It's just, just a hairbreadth of a change in perspective. Just a hairbreadth. But that independent thing that we value so deeply, and I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be functional, upright human beings. That's not what I'm saying. But the belief in like our existence outside of existence itself, outside of the animating power of existence, there's a me juggling, trying to keep the balls in the air. That, you know, has, well, that sense, that dedicated sense of separation, that dedicated sense of separation. You know, I'm having this, I am doing this, I am owning this. It has changed the landscape, you know, so dramatically that, you know, many of us have a hard time remembering. But, you know, Sharon always says it's getting easier and easier, and she sees it in retreats, and I think it is. I think it is. I see it all the time, and I experience it. The capacity to relatively live as the power, the animating power, call it love, uncaused love, call it what you will, Shakti Ma, whatever. To live as that in a relational way is it's coming. It's not arising new, it's original. What we think of as new is original. It's original. And it's everyone's heart's desire. It's in the heart of all being to remember itself, as a wholeness that is not divided or separated in any way. And its essence from the ground of no thing, empty potential, nothing but just potential. Oh my God, have you experienced that? Woo. Rising up into existence. That power is directly experienced when we are able, when the capacity begins to come online to face the fear of letting go of that separate feeling and allowing what actually is. And it's not that we haven't experienced it before. We experience it in times of our lives when we say, I was stood still, meaning my mind, the mind conceptualizing, narrating mind went offline. And there's nothing there. And yet everything is available, and beauty is, and love is, and peace is, and harmony is. It is. It's not something we're going to get to when steps A, B, C, D, and E have been finished. It is. And then it may move us in all kinds of very fierce ways. I'm not, very fierce ways. Because the return to love, not that we were ever away from it, but it feels kind of like a return, is a fierce, it doesn't have conditions. It's not like it's going to dim itself to fit the, if it's naked and the instrument is unadorned, uncomplicated, unidentified, shining is as it is, right? And the humanness, it's not a license to just be like, Jennifer said I can just do whatever I move to do and say whatever it will never act against itself. If we're acting against something else, then it doesn't matter. We just know that there are beliefs that are coloring the appearance because it doesn't act against itself. But is it 100% authentic and sincere? Yes, not out of a choice, but because it is what it is. It is what it is. It doesn't have a choice but to be what it is. The shining, the light that lights up the world. I think that was like a George Harrison song. I loved that song. I might listen to it again. The light that lights the world. I'm going to read something from Thomas Merton and then we're going to take a break. It's in this Mary Magdalene book of Cynthia Bourgeault's, but she quotes Thomas Merton here, who was a contemporary Christian monk, but he was also, who was the Buddhist person he was like very intimately connected with? I can't remember, but he had transcended the idea that there's only my path and it is the right path. He understood that all paths lead up the mountain. At the center of our being is a point or nothingness, which is untouched by mistakenness and illusion. A point of pure truth, which belongs entirely to God. I'm going to use the word God because that's what he would use for source, the ground, whatever. It belongs entirely to God, which is never at our disposal, from which God disposes of our lives, which is inaccessible to the fantasies of our own mind or the brutalities of a personal will. This little point of nothingness and of absolute poverty is the pure glory of God in us. It is, so to speak, the name written in us as our poverty, as our indigence, as our dependence, as our son and daughtership. It is like a pure diamond blazing with the invisible light of heaven. That's the truth. That we are that. And we are so fortunate to be able to sit here and actually live what love can do. Live as that. Look at this. I mean, Barb and I were reflecting on the days we would sit in her living room, kind of twiddling our thumbs after we'd invited people to potlucks. And here we all are. Jan remembers. Here we all are. We're doing this, and we're not. life is doing it, and it feels like a something, and an everything, and a nothing. Let's take a 10-minute break.